her. Jeg ville have været varm, hvis vi havde råbt slogans hele vejen, men det har vi ikke gjort. I would have been warm. Black lives who?
Black lives matter!
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 Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Can one of our streamers from the Black Lives Matter team stand up here and do a round thing? Yeah. Oh, you're right there. There you are. And also, so you're close and you get the speaker.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. The speaker are we not? Cassandra? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it was Cassandra. There you go. Yeah. I would like to, without getting all teary, introduce Cassandra from the Black Lives Matter team and the Black Lives Matter family. Does lots of work, very hardworking, very patient, puts up with me when I call her 8 hours and ask her to do another meme or something graphic. I need you to give her a really, really warm applause and welcome here. And it can come onto the. And there's some men who can please help the lady in here. But okay, they manage. I'm being sexist and whatever. Sorry.
Hi everyone.
Woo!
Hi. I wrote a speech. I'm gonna do it in English. Jag snackar svensk, so but I just want to be inclusive, so to be nice. Yeah. I remember quite clearly the morning when I read the article that BT had published. A medical gossip magazine had posted the first news of the incident to inform the Danish public of what had taken place that night at Bornholm. No one else had dared to write anything. A few days later, the media started making reports on the case, but instead they started talking about how this had nothing to do with the color of his skin. He knew his attackers, they said. They were friends, they said. There was a different conflict of interest, they said. The last time I checked, friends don't lure you into the woods. The last time I checked, they don't murder you for sport. And the last time I checked, we humans are more likely to be violated by someone we know rather than by a stranger. So their familiarity with one another shall not and should not cancel out the fact that this was a racialized hate crime.
Yes.
I want to make it clear, I did not know this man. I had no relation to him or his family, and regardless of what the media has tried to manipulate us into thinking, my gut tells me a different story. The nausea I felt, the horror I experienced, and the thought process I had that night, and still in flashes, beg to differ. A third sense, what some would say, trauma, mistrust to a system. Some would deem this third sense unreliable. But the facts are there, and we have all been informed of how this lynching has taken place. A beating, a stabbing, and knee to the neck. A symbolic moment I bet the two young Nazis had fun with. And yes, you heard me, I said Nazis. A symbolic moment that mimicked the death of George Floyd. And still yet to this day, it hasn't been labeled a racialized hate crime. By the Danish court, by the Danish police department, and by the Danish state. Phillip was a son. Phillip was a brother. Phillip was an Afro-Dane. I might not have anything in common with this man that would matter for the broad public Danish eye, but I am convinced that I did share some experiences, and the little factor of race and a hybrid identity. That small factor that some have redeemed insignificant, and that our feelings of feeling unsafe in our own country is referred to as hysteria and unnecessary misplaced anger. He did not feel safe. I do not feel safe. He was not safe, and I am not safe, and this is to our country. The media, the police department, and even some lawyers of this case say that according to the Danish law, this could not have been due to racism. This is due to the claim that there isn't enough evidence for them to prove it so. Because in Denmark, if there are other motives involved, a racialized hate crime automatically gets cancelled out of the broader picture. And we all know this. Minorities of all sorts in the Nordic land of Hygge know this. I cannot tell you how many times I've been assaulted, which according to the Danish public is not a hate crime. I have never in my life reported it. And I know that if even Phillip Mbuji can't even get recognized for what it is, how are my minor offenses supposed to get recognized? When people like Musa gets punched in the train and gets a fine for 3,000 kroner for self-defense, when Dennis Uzen gets racial slurs thrown in his face and gets murdered with a baseball bat and is still not condemned a hate crime, how are we minorities supposed to feel? Safe, protected, wanted, Danish? And let's talk about how the Danish media has echoed silence for days after the murder, and only after a shitstorm of complaints did they take action. But only to silence the echoing screams that call this murder for what it is. The power of words, the power of storytelling, and the power of narrative is the exact power that the Danish media houses bewield. The power to pick and choose and silence different narratives that they can't relate to. They claim to be objective, but really we see what direction they spin the narrative. Motives, murder, racist, rapist, friends, none of this makes sense. Journalism, they say, copy, paste, and alter text, that's what they call news delivery. That's what they call journalism. Debate, 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 deny, 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 and when we call them up, when we call them out, we are the conspiracy theorists. We are the ones making up the stories. Let me make something clear. I will always believe someone when they say they've been raped. But this is a claim from a man who's been in prison for murder, not from the mother. I refuse to let a man claim this without the supposed person claiming these allegations towards a dead man. I refuse to let this factor take away the facts of the clear evidence that there were racist motives for the death of Phillip. All this scares me, for it to be this easy for a man to frame someone as a rapist without any evidence. Whereby for years, it takes at least a dozen of women to prove someone sexually assaulted them. So for it to be this easy scares me. For it to be this easy to get rid of racist motives in this case, whereby there has been evidence, scares me. For the media to feed into this narrative scares me. Because what does it really say about us? The others, the second-class citizens. It says a whole lot. We need the murderer to take accountability and get punished for what they've done, but also the media for feeding into this narrative that Phillip was a rapist. That Phillip in some way or sort asked for this. Because they were friends. Phillip deserves a fair trial, and neither the court or the media has given this to him, despite the outrage and despite the evidence that there has been and still is. As an Afro-Dane, when I think about Phillip, I think about his sisters, I think about his mother, I think about his father and his entire family. And then I think about my cousins, I think about my friends, and I think about my brothers. Because where was my oldest brother that night when the news had finally reached me? Funny enough, he was in the woods with his graduating class getting drunk. The fear of him not being safe due to the color of his skin. The fear of... I'm sorry. Woo! wonder what if something happened what the people in power care. Those are the fears that has haunted me ever since that morning. It's not fair that Danish minorities fear for our own safety. It's not fair that this is not taken seriously, because as I mentioned earlier, this is not the first time that something this violent has taken place. I'm sorry. It's just... All of us out here today have been screaming this to be seen for what it is. The media is suffocating our voices. The court is suffocating our voices. The state is suffocating our voices. And just as he took his last breath, and just as his last breath was stolen from him due to suffocation, I want you to say it with me. I can't breathe!
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 This racist system!
Shut it down!
This racist system!
Shut it down!
This racist system!
Shut it down!
Thank you. This racist system!
Shut it down!
This racist system!
Shut it down!
Thank you.
I'll take that hat with me. No, Cassandra!
Please!
I really need you to give it all you got. No,